Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to learn about textures of sedimentary rocks. So learning about textures is very important. The reason for this is because we use or we identify sedimentary rocks using its texture. So it becomes an important concept when we talk about classification of sedimentary rocks later on. So these are the four textures that I would like to discuss in this video, including the grain size, sphericity or angularity of the grains. The third one will be the sorting, and the fourth one is the maturity of the grains. So for the grain size, we use a scale called the Wentworth scale. Okay, a Wentworth scale has um, a defined sizes for each types of rocks. For example, here we have more than 256 millimeter, and it goes all the way to less than 1 over 260 56th millimeter. So very, very fine grains at the bottom of this scale. Now, the reason why we need to know about the grain size of the sedimentary rocks is because it can actually tells us a lot about the transportation, the distance of transportations that these grains have experienced. So as transport distance increases, the grain size will decrease. Okay, so if you see big grains within sedimentary rocks, that simply means that these rocks were deposited very close to the surface, or I'm sorry, very close to the source. Okay, but if we're dealing with fine grains, that could also indicate that that these grains have undergone long transportation far from the source rock. The next texture is called sphericity or angularity. Again, these two textures indicate how far the sediment was transported. Okay, uh, when it was transported very close to the source rock, then the sediment angularity will look something like this. It will be highly angular. But if it has been transported for a long distance, then it will likely to produce a nice spherical grains of sediments. Sorting is also an important texture of sedimentary rocks. Um, Sorting is actually just how uniform the grain sizes that we're dealing with within sedimentary rocks. So, for example, here I have a well sorted sedimentary rocks. As you can see here, that these grains, these little grains, they are basically, the size of these grains is pretty uniform. Um, and the shape is also pretty uniform. Okay, compare that with the extreme end, which is the very poorly sorted. Here, in this case, we have very big grains, like this guy right here, mixed with very small grains. Okay, and they're all very different in size. Okay, and again, the degree of sorting also indicates the transportation distance. And the last one is grain maturity. Okay, we look at the grain maturity. We define the grain maturity of a sedimentary rocks by looking at the composition of the grains. If it has mostly quartz grains, like this guy right here, these are mostly quartz grains, and as you can see here, most of these quartz grains are rounded, and that is something that we call as mature sediments. For immature sediments, it will likely consist of multiple types of grains, such as feldspar or maybe silt grain, or you could also have some particles of rocks, actually. Okay, so not only just minerals, but also rocks within those grains. And when you have something like that, that is what we call as immature sediments. Okay. So those are the four main textures of sedimentary rocks that I want you to get familiar with. And if you do have questions about those things, let me know in the email or on our Canvas page. Anyway, I'll see you again in the next one. Bye bye now.